Hi everyone, welcome to Vassar's virtual tour. My name is Ally and I will be your tour guide for the day. Before we get started, I just want to introduce myself a little bit. Like I said, my name is Ally and I am a rising senior for this coming fall. I am originally from Rochester, New York, which you can actually see on the map right here on the left side of the screen. I am a neuroscience and Hispanic studies double major, as well as following a pre-med track. And outside the classroom, I'm the captain of the women's soccer team. I'm a member of one of our a cappella groups known as Measure for Measure. I am a tour guide, which is why I'm doing this for you today. And finally, I'm a member of one of our newer organizations on campus known as FIMRIC, which stands for the Foundation of International Medical Relief of Children. A little long-winded, but that is who I am on campus. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to zoom you into Vassar's campus, and we're going to go through a pretty standard tour of what you would get when you normally would come to campus. And then at the end, I'm going to head into more of an athletics direction and speak to that experience more. So without further ado, we are going to get started. If you look on the left screen, you'll see a map of New York State. If you're coming to us from wherever in the world, Vassar College is located in the city of Poughkeepsie. So I'm going to zoom in out. We're going to zoom in towards Poughkeepsie. It's a little slow, so bear with me. Towards where that VC is located. And as we zoom in, you'll be able to see the campus kind of come into view. We're located, like I said, in the city, Poughkeepsie, right along the Hudson River, as you can see. Within Poughkeepsie, there's a couple schools. Our closest one is Vassar College, but we're also nearby to West Point and the CIA, or the Culinary Institute of America. So here we are flying in over campus, and we're gonna get started where any normal tour would get started, at the admissions house. So you can see it coming into view there where my cursor is. That is Couts Admissions House. So the way this tour is going to work is that on the left, I'm going to have a map. We're going to walk us through the campus, and then on the right screen, I have pictures of buildings. All of the maps and pictures that you see on this tour are also available on the Vassar website. So if you want to take more time to look through any of these buildings with the map, absolutely do so at vassar.edu. So we're going to start officially with the tour. Couts Admissions House, this is where you'd come for an information session for the start of a tour. You can see a little tour group getting started there. So some basics on Vassar. Vassar was founded in 1861 by Matthew Vassar, a philanthropist and brewer, but the doors later opened in 1865 because of the Civil War. But when they did open, they opened to a class of about 300 young women. Later, in 1969, we invited men to join our campus, and today we have a student body of about 2,500, of which roughly 57% are female and 43% are male. Within that population, also 20% of the student body are student athletes. All right, so our first stop, we're gonna head along this map through this big green space towards our first building, which is the Vogelstein Center for Drama and Film. If you look on this screen on your right, you'll see this side, the side facing us is facing right here where my cursor is, and then this big glassy side is, we would have walked this way in a normal tour. Like the title suggests, this is home to our drama and film departments. Within this building, you'll find anything you need to produce a film or production. We have state-of-the-art facilities in costume design, set design, film editing, any stage of those processes you will find in this building. We have 5 theaters on campus. Our largest is the Martell Theater, which if you go through these doors right here, you will head pretty much straight in. It seats about 300 people. Yeah, normally I would ask for questions, but that is not possible in this tour format. So we are just gonna head right outside to what's known as our academic quad. It's called our academic quad because it houses the highest concentration of academic buildings, but by no means all of them. So we're just going to start going around, and I will point some out as we get there. So the first one is our Sanders classroom, which you will see on this map right here. This is home to our English department, our Greek and Roman Studies department, departments, as well as our Asian Studies departments. Next door is Sanders Physics. You can see right here, again, this is home to physics, but as well as astronomy is held within this building. Next, let's let it load. We'll come around to this big brick building, which you can kind of see. This view we're looking at is right where my cursor is, kind of from the Shakespeare Garden. But this is Olmsted Hall, and this is home to our biology department. Biochemistry is half in this building, and then neuroscience is as well. And you can see on this map, actually, there's a greenhouse, which you don't normally see on tours, but that is on the back side. And here is that building. Back towards the quad, we will come up towards New England building. And this is home to our psychology department as well as cognitive science departments. This is a cool building, so on the 3rd floor is an area where a lot of psychology students will do research. And what's fun is that as an intro psych student, you have to participate as the subject for 3 credit hours for a semester in research on campus. I myself had to take care of this electronic baby named Liam, and he was not so fun. No, he was fun. But they did take swabs of my saliva, and science did happen, but it's a cool robotic baby research device if psychology interests you. So moving past New England building, we're going to head towards this bridge building. So it's called the bridge building because it quite literally is a bridge going over this road and this little creek. And this is our newest academic building on campus. It's completed in 2017, and it was completely renovation of this building, the Olmsted building, the psychology building, and the physics building. So a lot of new science equipment. We are going to go inside this building, and I'm going to show you the atrium area. All right, so here we are, and this is actually a cool feature the website has where you can do like a 360 spin around. So I'll just do a quick spin around. Within this building is home to our, go by the wall a little quicker, is home to our biochemistry as well as chemistry departments. You can see over here this brickish color, and that is Olmsted Hall, so that's why I say biochemistry is split between the two, because it's really one building if you think about it. Yeah, so this atrium space, you can see there's a concert going on, is a cool space. It's open 24/7 to all students. Within this building, we have tons of lab spaces, including 6 integrated lab spaces, and what that means is the lab is designed to go directly from learning a concept to applying a concept. Which is very nice, especially say a chemical reaction, to see it and then immediately apply it. This space is super cool for a lot of music students will participate here, as well as where these people are sitting on Fridays at like 1:30. The chemistry senior majors will come out and make ice cream for everyone using dry ice. So and it's quite good. I like it a lot. Next, we're going to go inside a lab within this building. We don't normally get to do that on a tour, so this is lucky. Yeah, so this is a pretty standard bridge laboratory space. I mentioned labs outside a little bit, but labs at Vassar usually range from 18 to 21 students, but I have been in labs, I was in 2 organic chemistry labs where it was 10 students, a professor, and then a lab intern, which I will get into. So all classes and labs at Vassar are taught by full professors. We do not have grad students, so we do not have grad students teaching, which is super cool. So professors also know that when they decide to come to Vassar. They come to Vassar because they want to teach, so you get to know your professors as advisors who are very accomplished in their fields as well. Mentioned lab interns. Basically within a lab, there will be a lab intern, which is a student who has done well in the class, they've done well in the lab, they've excelled at both, like I said, and they're there to just kind of guide you through the lab. They do not teach, but they may grade an occasional notebook quiz. And then later on in your science career, if you excel, you can work as a job on campus in that position. All right, normally I'd ask questions again, but that is not possible. So now we're gonna come outside to Skinner Hall of Music. This is home to our music department. Within this building, we have one of our 3 libraries, the music library. We have 20 practice rooms, each with their own Steinway piano. We have a 300-seat recital auditorium where different student groups, visiting groups will all perform in. I'd say Vassar's campus is a pretty musical campus. We have 9 a cappella groups on campus, including one that strictly whistles and one that sang for the Obamas, so got it all there. And there's tons of bands as well. Either they're affiliated with the music department or they're just student-run group of friends getting together to make some music. Yeah, so we're gonna head back outside. So where we are, we're looking right about at this cross section of Chapel Drive right here. I'm gonna spin us around. Here we go. So you can see there's actually a tour group right there. That's an old tour guide. That is the psychology building. And if I swing us around, you'll see our president's house right in there. President Elizabeth Bradley, she's a relatively new addition to the college. She came in with me my first year, so was that 2017, the fall of. Yeah, and she's actually got a lot of experience with public health, and so throughout this coronavirus adventure. She has been very, very instrumental in bringing us back to campus safely. Yeah, so we're going to spin around and I'm going to pick up, we're kind of facing the back side of the chapel, but I'm going to come and stand right in front of the chapel in our next shot. So here we are, you can see the front of the chapel. So Vassar is a non-religiously affiliated college, but we do offer many different religious services on campus. If your particular religion is not represented on campus, we do offer free transportation to the closest local place of worship for you to go to. The chapel is also our largest seating area on campus. It sits, just under 800 people. So a lot of events that require large seating areas will be held there, such as convocation, a lot of first-year orientation events. Whenever there's a notable speaker, we'll often put them in there. My presidential inauguration, my first year fall, all took place in the chapel. Yeah, so I'm going to spin us around and we're kind of going to see the side profile of our Francis Lehman Loeb Art Center. So this is a art center, a full-on art museum that we have on campus. Within the building, there's about 20,000 works of art, including those by Picasso, Rembrandt, Georgia O'Keeffe. There's a mummy in the basement, so all types of art that students can work with a curator on. Yeah, I'm gonna pick us up looking more at Taylor Hall, I believe. Yes, so there it is. So this is this gate building attached to the Francis Lehman Loeb Art Center known as Taylor Hall. You will often drive through this gate, it is literally a gate, when you first arrive to Vassar. This is home to our art history department. And our art history department is actually pretty internationally renowned because when the Notre Dame in Paris was burning, the French community actually turned to the work of a Vassar professor who unfortunately passed away about a year ago. But he was one of the only people to do a full scan of the Notre Dame, and his work has been very instrumental in the reconstruction of that cathedral. Yeah, so this next shot, let's see if I can orient us well. All right, so you are looking on the right screen, you can see Taylor Hall, and then there's this long main campus drive. So I'm just gonna bring us down here on the map to what is known as main building. And then I will spin us around so we can get a full shot of main building. There it is, it's quite big, doesn't really fit. Yeah, so this is the main building. When the college was first founded, this was the entire school. So they lived here, they took classes here, professors' offices were here, administration was here. This was Vassar. Obviously we have expanded, but today this remains our largest residential house with students living on the upper 4 floors. And then on the ground floor is attached to our college center, which you can see on the map, which we will walk through later in the tour, kind of follows our loop. And it's also home to nearly every administrative office you can think of, from residential life, financial services, study abroad, pre-health, pre-law advising, registrar's office, name an administrative office. It is most likely in this building. All right, so we are going to swing back around and I will wait for the next shot to load and we will come and pick up there. So right now we came back down Main Campus Drive. And you can see Taylor Hall sort of through the trees there. And we're going to swing down to Thompson Memorial Library. So this is our main library on campus. It is also attached to our art library, which is our third of 3 libraries. Excuse me. They are separate though, but they are connected, so you don't have to go outside if it is snowing to get to each other. So we're going to go inside this building, Thompson Memorial Library. Yeah, so this is the circulation desk, the big foyer area. It's one of my favorite buildings to study in. It's pretty impressive. I'll just pan it up for a second. And then I think I can get to another shot. There we go. All right. Here's the south wing of the library. So some quick facts about the library. Within this building, we have about 1 million print volumes, as well as about 20,000 periodicals. So there's a lot to read. If you're looking for something that you cannot find in this library, we do offer an interlibrary loan exchange system, so you can get a text from around the world either sent to you electronically or in copy, depending on what is easier. You can't see it in this section or this picture of the library that I'm showing, but we do also have a Q center as well as a writing center. The Q stands for quantitative, and that center can be used if you have any struggles with a quantitative class. So maybe you have a math problem set you are struggling with. You can set up an appointment with the Q Center with, like, maybe say a math senior major, and they can help you guide through whatever you may be struggling with. So it's a nice peer-to-peer tutoring system we have. It works the same way for the writing center. If you are struggling with a paper, any stage of the writing process, it could be first idea, it could be final touches, you can go right in there, and a student who's been taught on how to critique writing will help you out. And then also, that is a job on campus if you want to do that. Oh, it's automatically going. This part of the library we're looking at right now, and you can kind of see to the other side, that's that big atrium, and it's pretty much identical on the other side, is not open 24 hours. It's open from about 8 a.m. until midnight, but we do have a 24-hour section of the library. You come over on the map, I guess I didn't know it was called Ingram Library, but it is. Ingram Library is our 24-hour section, and that's just the college's way of saying go to sleep. Sleep's important. Don't spend your whole night studying your heart out, but we do have spaces across campus. The library is one, if that is something you want to do. All right, we're gonna come back outside of the library. You can see us here, and before we go any further with buildings or stuff, I have to point out this ginormous tree, which you can see on the map where my cursor is circling. This tree is a Vassar treasure. It actually used to hold the world record for longest horizontally unsupported branch. So you can see this long branch there. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. However, the story goes that the branch started to crack a little bit over time, and so, you know, gravity. And so the school tried to keep its record. So they put up these support cables to hold the branch up, and then when the judges would come, we would take them down so we could keep that record. Very smart. However, there was a snowstorm one winter, and the judges came a week early, and they caught us with our cheat system or support system. And so Vassar College is banned from the Guinness Book of World Records because of this magnificent tree. Yeah, fun fact. But this tree was, I believe, planted the day that Vassar was founded, so it's kind of iconic for many reasons. All right, I'm going to swing us back around. Before we get to that building we just glanced by, I want to go back behind this giant tree, follow along on the map, and I want to point out back in this corner we have Chicago Hall. So Chicago Hall is home to our languages departments. Here at Vassar we offer just under 20-ish languages other than English, including several self-instructional programs. So basically, if you want to take a language that is not offered at Vassar, the school will bring a professor to the campus to teach you that language. There's a girl on my team, one of our goalkeepers, who is Irish and is trying to get in touch with her Irish roots, and so she's taking Gaelic and has actually kind of evolved it into a correlate, which is the fancy term we use for minors at Vassar. So yeah, whatever language you want to take, absolutely go for it. I usually get questions on my tours around this time about study abroad. Just around half of Vassar students will go abroad at some point in their 4 years, most commonly in your junior year or your JYA, junior year abroad or away. Even athletes can go abroad, and many, many do. I myself was abroad this past spring for about a month, and then I had to go home. But I was in Chile, and it was a super, super cool experience. So do not worry if you are an athlete, you can absolutely go abroad. All right, so bring us back to this giant tree we were looking at. And we're going to pan over to Rockefeller Hall, which you can see on the map. This is home to our mathematics, philosophy, and political science departments, and we are going to go inside of it and see the classroom. All right, so here we are in a Vassar classroom. I will pan around a bit. So it can be pretty tricky to define exactly what the typical Vassar classroom looks like, because all of our academic buildings do look quite different. But one thing you'll see really unifies all of them is this discussion-based learning. Even classrooms that are set up as more maybe a lecture style, whether that's chairs or kind of arena seating, the professors will often have students break off into small groups. In a calculus class I took, we had workshop Wednesdays where Monday and Friday we would do kind of more professing of knowledge, and then on Wednesdays we'd work with our small groups, and the professor would float around helping us with whatever we were working on. Yeah, at this point in my tour, it's mainly a question portion, but I will say that on the Vassar admissions website, there's tons of facts and figures about what exactly the academics look like at Vassar, financial aid, all those questions you might get in an information session you can absolutely find online. I will go into our graduation requirements because that is a very common question. So at Vassar, we have 3 graduation requirements outside of completing a major and being a full-time student. So those 3 are, first is a first-year writing seminar. That is a class that is focused on writing that you take in your first year. They're usually very small, and they can be on anything. I'm pretty sure every department offers them. So if writing is not your passion, you can take one in economics or mathematics, physics. Any of those departments offer a writing seminar. That's your first requirement. Your second requirement is a quantitative class, your quantitative requirement. That is a class with numbers. That can be calculus, that can be physics, chemistry, but if math is not your thing, if numbers are not your thing, that can be political science, economics, I think philosophy even, depending on the class. And so that's a very easy one to fulfill. So that's 2. And the third one is a foreign language proficiency. That is not foreign language fluency, but if you come in speaking a language other than English, you can test out of that. Proficiency, what does that look like? That looks like 1 class at the intermediate level of a language other than English, or 2 classes at the elementary level, kind of usually within 1 year. And that can be fulfilled very easily. So that is 3 or 4 classes depending on your path. And so very easy to fulfill. Outside of that, you just have your major requirements, which are capped at about 11 units. At Vassar, we use unit equals 1 class. So 1 class is 1 unit. Very easy to think about. And you need 32 to graduate. So that works out as you can take 4 each semester of your 8 semesters of college, and you will be set to graduate. Yeah, so we're going to head outside and kind of leave the academics portion behind. And I'm going to pick us up in the middle of our residential quad, kind of in the middle of these red trees right here. So here we are. You can see the back side of Rockefeller Hall through these red trees. So I'll just pan around quickly, and then I will talk about some residential life stuff. So this is the pretty classic college scene. You'll often see people maybe playing a frisbee, or there's these trees are pretty awesome for hammocks, just kind of hanging out life. If you've seen the movie Pitch Perfect, the opening scene is a flyover of this area. So next you should come here and you can say, whoa, went there. So some basics on residential life. 98% of students live on campus, and housing is guaranteed all 4 years. We also do not have any exclusive housing, so no Greek life, no fraternities or sororities, no athlete houses, no first year's houses. Everyone lives together. And as you can see from sort of the map field, it is a very community-based campus, so most students, 98%, do live on campus. The only exception to that exclusive housing rule is this house that I'm waving my cursor around, known as Strong House, which you can see right here. This house used to be our all-female identifying house, kind of paying an homage to the history of the college, but we later updated that to include all transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students can elect to live there. Maybe wondering, how do I elect to live anywhere? When you are first accepted into Vassar, you get the summer before to fill out tons of different forms and paperwork, but one of the ones you do is a roommate matching questionnaire. What that asks you is, it asks you, are you messy? What time do you wake up in the morning? Do you believe in magic? And based on the answers to those questions, you will be partnered randomly for your first year with a roommate. All first year students will have 1 or 2 roommates living in a double or a triple, but after your first year, you can live with whoever you would like, and you can also live alone in a single. Yeah, so once you move into Vassar, August of, or a little earlier if you're a fall sport, earlier in August, athlete, you are put into what's known as a fellow group. So that is a group of about 8 to 10 first year students who all live in the same hallway. It's kind of like your little neighborhood, if you will. You are led by what's known as a student fellow, and that is most commonly a sophomore student, but they can be older, who has been trained on how to help you and lead you through matriculation. So they lead you through your first, your orientation events, but they're also there as a mentor for you the entire first year. They say that the first 6 weeks of college are when you decide if you will stay at that school or transfer away. And so to sort of combat those anxieties and stresses that can and will occur, your student fellow will meet with their entire student fellow group once a week for the first 6 weeks of college, and often even beyond then. My group called it our Sunday meeting, where we would all go down to my student fellow's room at about 1 o'clock on Sundays, and we check in. How your class is going? How's your social life going? Is there anything that I, as a student fellow, can do to support you, or us as a student fellow group can do to support you? Yeah, some of my closest friends actually were my first year neighbors. So it's a fun system that we have. All right, so right now we're gonna head inside a residential house. So I'm gonna move us down on the map towards Jewett House. This is our big tall one that you can see right there. It has about, gosh, I wanna say 8 floors, and the view from the top is incredible. So we're gonna go in the entrance. So you can see the door right here. I'll just pan around a little bit. There's some students there, and I'll stop about there. So the room that we're looking at within Jewett House is known as the main hall, but it's also known as like a parlor. So every house has a parlor similar to this. Basically, it's a space where you can come, you can hang out with some friends, maybe do some homework. Depending on the house, there's a piano in the parlor, but every house has a slightly different layout, but there is a Steinway piano in every house is what I'm trying to say. All houses also have a kitchen, and so if you are interested in cooking something, you can absolutely do so. The soccer team has a tradition where every fall we go apple picking at one of the local apple orchards, Du Bois Farms, and we bring the apples back. We make an apple pie in one of the kitchens. We've had varying degrees of success, but it's a very fun tradition that we have. Each house also has a multi-purpose room, or an MPR, which is a little bit more informal than this space. It often has like a TV, maybe a ping pong table, a pool table, vending machines. It's like a nice recreational space you have to hang out outside of your room. So our next shot, I'm gonna take you to a different room. I'm gonna take you to an actual dorm room because that is where you will be living when you come to college. So I wanna go to Jocelyn House, which is just next door to Jewett House because that's where I lived my first year. And so here we are inside, a pretty standard first year room. So I'll just go around. There's space within every room for 2 beds, and closet space. Each student gets a desk, a dresser. I'll pan around a little more. Yeah, so Vassar has a lot of different housing configurations and room configurations. So this is not like to say what you will get, but it is a possibility that you will get this if you come to Vassar. So I can go into exactly what those configurations look like, because that might be a little confusing. So on the smaller scale, we have what's known as a single. So that is 1 room for 1 student to live in. As a first year, you will not live in a single. As a sophomore, you have about a 50% chance of getting one. And as a junior or a senior, you are guaranteed a single if you want one. Then we also have doubles and triples. What we're looking at in this picture is a double, but we also have triples. So that's 1 room for 2 or 3 people to share. We don't do the whole forced triple thing. We're just gonna jam 3 people in a room this size. That would be mean. Don't get discouraged if you do get a triple. They often have like 15-foot ceilings in Maine, and they're ginormous rooms. Yeah, so then we also have what's known as a 2-room double and a 2-room triple. So that's 2 rooms attached to each other for 2 or 3 people to share. I lived in a 2-room double as a sophomore student. I really liked it because we both had our own space, but we were also roommates at the same time, which I thought was a lot of fun. Then we also have suites. So suites are 3 to 4 bedrooms attached to a common room. Those are housed in Jewett House, which is the one we were just in, the super tall one, as long as Main Building, which was that super long one when the college was first founded. I lived in that as a junior, my junior fall, with a teammate of mine and a girl on the lacrosse team, and it's a lot of fun because, again, we all have our own rooms, but we have that bigger space to share communally. So those are our main central campus. I don't say on campus because all of our housing options are on campus, but those are our main central campus options. I'm going to show you on the map, because I can, our more traditional upperclassmen housing. Oh, well, it is zooming out. There we go. So first, and we will get to all this on our tour. You can see over here, this is known as our terrace apartments, right next to our athletics building. On the south side of campus, we have our Southern Commons, which you can see right here. There it is. And then finally, near our athletics fields, we have what's known as our townhouses, or our THs. All of these are 4 to 5 bedroom houses. They each have 2 bathrooms, a kitchen space, and a living room space. And they're that nice halfway intermediate between, say, living in a dorm room and living independently. So if something breaks, the college will pay for your broken sink, or I don't know, whatever breaks, but you are in charge of cleaning. There's kitchen space. If you want to cook, you can do that as well. Yeah, so we're gonna leave the residential section of this tour Briefly, when I walk along this portion in a normal tour, I talk about transportation, so I just want to do that before we get to our dining hall. This is our dining hall, which is our eventual location. But as far as transportation goes on campus, as you can see from the map, we're a pretty residential campus, so you do not need a car, but any student can have a car, including first years. To kind of guesstimate on how many students have cars, they usually say there's about 1 car per friend group. So you will know someone who has a car, and hopefully if they're a good friend of yours, they might let you borrow it. But by no means do you absolutely need a car. But anything on wheels you can use and to bring to campus, bicycles, rollerblades, Razor scooters are very popular actually. So anything that you feel you would want, you can absolutely do. We're located as a campus about 1 hour and 45 minutes north of New York City along the Metro North train line. So students do go into the city, but you do not have to. So much is happening on campus that by no means do you have to leave. And most students do not. They say about the average student will go into New York about once or twice a semester. I think excluding sports competitions, I've gone maybe twice in my 3 completed years. But some classes will even go into New York City, like art classes have gone down to the museums. I've had a friend in an anthropology class go down to the zoos to look at monkey skulls. We've partnered with some Broadway shows to hook up some free tickets so that a bunch of Vassar students can go down and enjoy those shows. So there's definitely an interchange with the city, but it is not like everyone's leaving campus. Everyone is not leaving campus. Most people are staying on campus. Yeah, so we're going to transition into our students building Gordon Commons. So this is our one and only dining hall. It's the Gordon Commons. You can see the outside. I'm going to take us inside so we can kind of get a feel, and I'll explain the meal plan. Here we are. So it was just newly renovated. My first year fall was the first grand reopening of the Gordon Commons, and so I'll just quickly pan around and then I will explain different locations. So first I want to get us all on the same board with our meal plan. Vassar's meal plan, every student is on it, and the way I think of it is that it has 2 halves. So you get both halves, but there are 2 halves. The first half is this building that we're inside, the Gordon Commons, the dining hall. And it is unlimited swipes. All you care to eat is what they say. So you can come here 50 times in a day if you wanted to. The other half of that dining hall or dining plan is these grab and go style locations, which are sprinkled throughout campus. So there was one in the Bridge Cafe, which I did not point out, but it was in the Bridge Science Building, which is called the Bridge Cafe, which I forgot to point out. I apologize for that, but I encourage you to go back and look more in depth at some of these buildings. There's 2 in the College Center, which we will get to later on the tour as well. So the way that all these work, spinning, I'll bring it over there. The way that all these work is that the day is broken into 3 slots. So there's breakfast, lunch, and a dinner slot. And within each one of those slots, you get 1 swipe at these locations. So for example, maybe I had a music class at 9 a.m. I could go to that Bridge Cafe, grab myself a bagel, oatmeal, banana, coffee, tea, whatever I'm in the mood for, and head on my way to class. I cannot go back to any of those grab and go style locations until the lunch slot. However, if I am still hungry, I can come back to the building we're in right now, the Gordon Commons, 5, 6, 7, 8 times as much as I feel I need. So it's a lot of flexibility there. And the food here, I think, is quite delicious. So back inside the dining hall, I'm going to just kind of go around and point out tons of the different stations and through our irregular tables, which is kind of fun. Back here, you can kind of see it behind where this person is standing. You'll see our coffee and sweets. Start there. That is where our coffee and our sweets are, and ice cream is back there as well. Back here, you'll see our global kitchen. That is where they cook food from around the world, and they cook it right in front of you. They shake it up about every 2 weeks-ish, so they keep it fresh. We've had crepes, we've had Greek food, we've had stir fries, we've had, one time there was Soups of America, and so you never know what you're gonna get, and it's always, I think, one of my favorite stations, if not my favorite. Against this wall, you can sort of see that's like more of a drink station back there. Coming around, there's this section, which is kosher. All the food prepared there is kosher, and a rabbi oversees the kitchen to be so. We have brick oven pizza. There's pizza. We have the farmer's table, which is where a lot of our salads, big long salad bar. Back here, you'll see this sign called home. Underneath that are two sections. Over here is like our entree of the day, which is a hot meal. It's to the left, and then to the right over here is an area known as Root, which is all vegan and vegetarian entrees. So kind of subdivide that there. Back here, you can sort of read it. This is a word back here. It says oasis, and this is a section where all the food prepared there is prepared without using the 8 major food allergens. So a lot of students with different dietary choices or restrictions can elect to go there and know that the food they are consuming is safe for them. You do not have to show any form of ID at these locations. Any student can, but we just localize it so you know what you're getting at each station. On the other side of our campus, you can see an area faintly, if you can read it, it says Your Kitchen. And that is a spot where you can cook food yourself. You can use ingredients from all throughout the dining hall and cook something, whatever you would like to make. Back there is also our deli, as well as soups are back tucked behind there. And there's a panini press as well. And then finally, back behind this wall is an area known as the grill. That is grilled food. At about, 10 o'clock at night, that is when like the late night food comes out. And so back there is mozzarella sticks or hot commodity at Vassar College. And there will be lines when those come out. So that's a fun place back there at the grill. You can see the staircase. The staircase going up is just extra seating. Very rarely does it happen, except for on like accepted students day when you have tons of people coming to campus, are there not available seats. But you can also go up there to study, do whatever you want. There's a cappella shows up there sometimes, kind of a nice space. All right, so that was a lot of information about the dining hall, but I wish I could say, if you have any questions, let me know, but I'm sorry. But you can read about it online, I'm sure. All right, so we're gonna come back outside of the students building / Gordon Commons and we're actually going off of the beaten tour guide route here because I wanna show you some athletics things specifically, but first we're gonna show you Noyes House. This is another one of our residential houses. I'm realizing I never said the number, but we have 9 residential houses. This is our 8th one we have seen if you're following along counting. This is a big semicircle building. It's our newest residential house on campus. This big green grassy space is a big space where a lot of events will take place on campus. So whether that's on Halloween, there's this big Halloween tent put up. There's spring festivals. We've had spring concerts there. The Ultimate Frisbee team will practice out there. The clubs and organizations fair will do its tabling, classic college scene, if you will, on this space. We have about between 180 to 200 clubs and organizations. They all set up big tables trying to get you to join them. So this is a big space for students to use as they wish. We're going to keep coming towards Cushing House. I don't have much to say about Cushing House other than it is said to look the most like Hogwarts. And if you say, I believe, in magic on your roommate questionnaire, you have like a higher chance of being placed in this building. I don't know if that's true at all, so don't quote me on that, but that is Cushing House, our 9th and final residential house. We're going to keep coming this way towards Kenyon Hall. This is our first athletic stop on the tour. There it is in the winter time. So this is one half of it is designated to, we have a bunch of dance studios as well as our economics department within this building. But the other half of it is an athletics wing, if you will. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures of the athletics facilities in this building. The first one is our varsity weight room. So on Vassar's campus, we have 2 weight rooms. We have one strictly for varsity athletes, and we have another one in our athletics and fitness center, which we will get to later in the tour, that any student can use. So here we are. We're missing about half of it, depending on where the camera person is standing. You're missing half of it, but this is the best picture I could get. And so yeah, this is where Vassar athletes will come to lift, get a workout in. Our strength and conditioning coach is Alice Reed, and she's been a great addition to our programs. Athletes usually, depending on if they're in season or out of season, will have different lifting schedules. So an in-season athlete will often lift twice a week, and then an out-of-season athlete will lift 3 to 4 times a week, depending on their goals for that semester or off-season. Yeah, that is our varsity weight room. Within this building, we also have our squash courts. So here they are. One of our sports with some bleacher seating. There is an athletic and training office in here as well. I just could not find a picture of it, so I apologize for that. But they cater to our squash and volleyball teams. And then finally, this is our volleyball court, our indoor volleyball court. They either have 2 or 1 nets up, depending on if it's a game or a practice. A lot of sports who are not volleyball will play in here maybe in the winter, like soccer teams. Field hockey, I think, has as well. We'll come in here to play some pickup sports. It's intramural sports will also take place in this facility. Yeah, so that is Kenyon Hall. We're going to leave Kenyon Hall, kind of get back to the non-athletics portion of the tour. There we go. So this is Wimpheimer Nursery School. You might be wondering why I'm pointing this out, but this is a nursery school on campus. And so students from the community, professors, students do come to this building or leave their children at this building while they are at work. Again, the reason I'm pointing this out to you is that within this building, a lot of education and psychology students will do research. And so, excuse me, they have one of those one-way mirrors where you can see people and they cannot see you. And so if you're interested in observational learning of children, a lot of students will go there. And it's a cool resource that we have. You can also work there if you're interested in children, working with children. It's a job. Yeah, coming back this way, we're going to see Blodgett Hall. Blodgett Hall is home to our sociology department, our religion department, and there's one more. Gosh, I can't remember. Anthropology. That's it. Anthropology department. They say this building was designed by a psychologist with the intent to make you get lost, which I'm not sure why that was a choice, but it was. So if you have a class there, I'd encourage you to go a little bit early because there's like half floors that are one floor, but sometimes they're not. So it's confusing, but this Blodgett Hall, it's a super cool building. There's a really nice courtyard. I've even seen drama productions in this little courtyard. I just pointed at my screen. If you can see my cursor in that little courtyard area. All right, so we're going to keep coming back towards the college campus, towards the Mariah Mitchell Observatory, or the old observatory building right here. This is home to our education department, and it has, in my opinion, one of the coolest classrooms on Vassar's campus because it's right in the dome, and you can see that. I had to get that into my tour. It's pretty cool. We did build a new observatory way up on a hill. I'm not going to drag the map over there to see it, but you can on your own time if that interests you. That's open to all Vassar students on Wednesday nights. The skies are clear for free to go and check that out, the skies, if that interests you. Yeah, coming back, we have a couple brick buildings I'm just going to point out quickly, and then we're going to head to the college center and then back towards athletics. That's the plan. So the first one up is Metcalf. You can see the observatory off of its left corner, or left shoulder. Metcalf is our counseling services building, so any student who needs someone to talk to, you can absolutely go in there and set up a free appointment with a trained mental health professional. And then our next stop is Baldwin. This is our Baldwin, this like Y-shaped building, is our Baldwin Health Services building. So within this building, if you have any physical ailment, you can go right in there and they will help you out. If you have insurance as well, they will work with your insurance. That was the first challenge I had as a Vassar student athlete, was to find this building because that is where my physical was in order to play my first year. All right, and then we're coming back. This is Swift Hall, this one right here. This is home to our history department, right there. And then next, across this little path, is finally Ely Hall, which is home to our geology and earth science departments. Within this building, there's a rock museum. If you're into rocks, that's your building. As well as there's art studio space on the upper floors. Cool thing about our art department is that every Vassar senior art major gets their very own art studio space. And depending on how many there are per year, many juniors will as well. So if art is your passion, that is a cool building. It might be your studio one day. All right, so we're gonna make our way back towards the college center. I'll try and orient us with an outside picture. There we go. So there's our pretend tour. There we are. We're heading into this little courtyard area towards the college center. So the college center is on the back side of main building, which we talked about earlier. The big one, students live there, administrative buildings are there. And we're gonna head inside to that building. Here we are. So this is one side of our college center. For some reason, I could not find a picture of the other side, but I will talk about it. So I'll pan around quickly. So on the side of the door that we just saw, so on this side where my cursor is home to our technological services desk. If you have any technological issue, your computer's not connecting to Wi-Fi, or your card, your Vassar ID card isn't letting you into a building, you can go right there and they will help you work that out for free. They work with Macs and PCs, common question I get. The other side is also our post office, so anything that they order from Amazon, comes from a relative, an absentee ballot. That'll either come to, if it's a package, to the post office, or you will find it in your P.O. box through these archways. So every student gets their own post office box. And you can just come right in there and you get a little key on your first day. And you keep that post office box your 4 years. That's important. You don't have to switch that and get a different key. On the other side is also our Express, which is one of those grab and go style options. Excuse me. That's our fastest one, hence the name Express. They're open breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're kind of like a bagged meal. You just kind of pop in there, you grab yourself an entree, some sides, a drink, and head on your way. It's a great option if you have maybe 15 minutes between classes. You can just kind of get in there, grab yourself a lunch, and head on your way. The other side upstairs, which you cannot see normally on a tour, but I don't know if you're with me, the upstairs of this side of the building is home to our Women's Center and our LGBTQ+ Center. We also have an Alana Center, which is physically located in this building back here, but I'm mentioning it here now because we don't go that route on a normal tour. But all of these centers provide both affinity spaces to students, as well as put on programming for the entire student body. So for example, the Alana Center puts on the Alana Festival every year in the fall, which is a lot of fun. A lot of groups come out with different music, food, dance. It's a big celebration of all the cultures that we have here on campus. Coming back to the other side of the College Center, which is where our camera on the right screen is located, is our retreat side. The reason it's called the retreat side is because behind this brick wall is the retreat, and that is our third and final grab and go style location. They're most popular for their lunches. They have sushi, they have poke bowls, they have a protein bowl of the week that changes every week. There's a grill, there's salad bar, tons of food. There's definitely no shortage of food on Vassar's campus, and I know I definitely enjoy it a lot. What's cool about this area is that on Tuesdays, in the form of Tasty Tuesday, a lot of restaurants from different parts of Poughkeepsie, as well as Arlington, which is the more immediate town that we're technically located in, will come to this College Center and set up booths, and you can enjoy some food from the area without having to walk, even though it's like maybe a 4-minute walk, but it's cool. Love when food comes to you. All right, so that is normally when a normal Vassar tour does end, and so we are going to continue this tour and take it more to the athletics side. You might be wondering why the athletics is not a part of the normal tour, but it's a little bit out of the way, and so the route just doesn't quite make sense. But we are going to talk a little bit more and go more in depth into the athletics part of Vassar College. So our first stop is we're going to come over here through these terrace apartments to what's known as the Athletics and Fitness Center. So that is home to athletics, and you can see it on your right here. We're going to go inside to the atrium area. Here we are inside. If you come to meet with a coach, I actually had my coach meeting right here, so you might in the future be there as well. There's a little desk over here. There's a desk here for student workers, very popular job, especially for student athletes, to work in some way with the athletics department, whether that's more administrative, whether that's through the media section, or maybe working other student athletes' games. If we come through these little doors here, I'm going to take us inside to the Vassar Athletics and Fitness Center that is open to all students. I guess that's the name of the building, but here's the fitness center. And this is, like I said, open to all Vassar students. It's a really cool space. They have these super cool windows. It's snowing in this picture, I guess. Yeah, so that is a cool spot you have. If you want to use this space, you can, but varsity weight room is really where you get your sport-specific lifts in. All right, we're going to come back and show a couple more parts. So this is our gym. If you're looking at the map, this is kind of this portion of the Athletics Fitness Center, if I was to draw a blueprint. So this is where our basketball teams will play. Our volleyball teams have played here as well when they have those big tournaments, which are a lot of fun. And on the upper floor, there is a 4-lane track, and I think it's about 1/8 of a mile track, which any student can use. On the other side, there's like this little tunnel you have to go through. You might have seen it in a different picture, but you'll head to the Walker Field House, which is attached, and that is home to our 6-lane pool, which is where our swimming team and swimming and diving teams will use. And that, again, Vassar students can use that, obviously, when the swimming and diving team is not using it. And then over here, you can kind of see the diving pool, but I couldn't get a picture of both of them. I apologize. Within this Walker Fieldhouse portion is also our bays area. So this is several indoor tennis courts. I'll point out the outdoor tennis courts later as we pan across campus, but this is a space where the tennis teams will practice, but other teams can use this space as well. So basketball teams have used this, baseball teams have used this for batting practice, soccer teams, field hockey teams have used this when the fields maybe are really, really muddy. We'll have an indoor practice here. So it's kind of a multi-purpose space, but it does have lining for tennis. Within this building, finally, we have our athletics and training main room. There's like 3 separate rooms so that they're close to all athletics facilities, but this is where our athletic trainers' offices are. At Vassar, we have 4 athletics trainers. We just hired a 4th one, headed by Susie Higgins, who's our head trainer, and they will help you with whatever kind of physical ailment you might be struggling with. I myself have had 2 ankle surgeries, and they've been very, 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 very helpful in getting me back to playing as I want to. Yeah, that is Ian. He actually he's pursuing his master's, I believe, right now. So he's not one of our current trainers, but he was here my first year. All right, so you might be wondering what Ballantine Field is. That is not an athletics regulation field, but that is kind of an intramural field. We've had concerts there on our big spring festival day. Founders Day is where the concert is, so that's no teams play there formally. All right, so we're gonna head, we'll get to that path, but I'm gonna zoom out to get there first. So we're coming back to the center of campus. I wanted to show us, we have our outdoor tennis courts out here, kind of tucked behind Joss for our tennis teams to use and the Vassar community as well. But we're gonna head over to the athletics fields near our townhouses. So you might be wondering, gosh, they seem so spread apart, and it is about a 15-minute walk from the farthest point to the other farthest point. So it is not by any means a long walk. Besides, most students do live in this area, and so from here to either athletics facility is about a 5-minute walk. But this is the path. You will have to cross this little path here. I'll walk with you past this little creek pond area, and then you will come up to the Prentice Field Sports Complex, past the THs. A lot of upperclassmen athletes who play field sports also choose to live here. Yeah, so there's a lot of different locations here, but I'm just gonna point them out to you. First, we're gonna head into this pavilion, or the little area here. This is the Weinberg Pavilion. Within this building, we have another sports medicine facility, which you can see on our right, which is where a lot of our field sports will get treated with whatever they need. This pavilion is also home to our locker rooms for the field sports. The locker rooms for non-field sports are located in the Athletics and Fitness Center, but locker rooms for field sports are located next to the fields. That makes sense. All right, I'm gonna show you a couple pictures of the different fields and explain who uses them. So our first one is this giant double field complex over here. This is not a game field, this is a practice field complex. So this is where the men's soccer team, as well as the men's lacrosse team, will practice out here. I actually had a clinic here one summer for women's soccer, so maybe we use it for clinics, I don't know, but it's a huge space, and you can kind of get a sense for what the grass is like. The women's soccer team, I do not have a picture of it, but we have our own field over here. This is Taylor Field, and that is where women's soccer practices. Coming back to the main part of Apprentice Field Sports Complex, I'm going to take us to the baseball diamond. Here's where a baseball team will play and practice, and there's some batting cages over here, some bullpens, gosh, baseball lingo. Bullpens, yes, is back here, as well as there's some dugouts and kind of a athletic stands area right here, which is where the picture on your right is being taken from. Our next stop is our Weinberg Field. This is a turf field. This is where our field hockey team will practice and play, as well as our women's lacrosse teams. And it is surrounded by an 8-lane track. So our track and field teams will play. You can see kind of some track and field, more fields kind of off of the corner there for different field events. And then our cross country team will also kind of base here, but they'll run through the Vassar area, the Poughkeepsie area, or go to our some trails that we have as well. And then finally, our last stop on this tour is Gordon Field, and this is the game field for men's and women's soccer and men's and women's lacrosse. Or I'm sorry, men's lacrosse. Women's lacrosse, I just said, it's on on the turf field, Weinberg Field right here. So this is a picture of game day. You can kind of see the pavilion, locker rooms, and athletic training building back there, but here's a soccer game going on. It's a women's soccer game, I think. Yeah, so that is going to conclude our Vassar tour. I hope that you enjoyed yourselves, and I hope that you are considering coming to a real tour. Maybe you'll see me if it's in the next year, hopefully. But yeah, if you are considering playing a sport at Vassar, I definitely encourage you to reach out to a coach sooner rather than later to get the recruiting process going. I'm realizing I should have maybe given some background on Vassar sports, but we are Division III. I feel like if you're looking at this school, you might already know that, but we are Division III. Our mascot's the Brewers. We have 27 sports on campus, and definitely if you are thinking about playing a sport here, reach out to a coach. All that information can be found online, and all information about Vassar College more specifically, apart from athletics, can be found on the admissions website. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you well with the rest of your recruiting and college search processes.